This is the Huawei Watch Fit 5 Pro, which in the UK only costs about £250 at the time of launch. And if you're a runner, a cyclist, outdoor activity lover, or you just want good fitness and health tracking, I think you should buy this over the Apple Watch Series 11. I'm Cam Bunton from Trusted Reviews, and to my mind it's one of the best value smartwatches around. Let's get into it. Take one look at this watch design from a few feet away and I would absolutely forgive you for thinking that it looks like an Apple Watch. The design influence is clear, from the square body to the positioning and function of the rotating crown near the right corner. In fact, even if you are quite close, there's very much an Apple Watch vibe, and has been for a couple of generations now with the Watch Fit Pro series. But that's no bad thing really. The large rectangular AMOLED display means more space for data compared to the round Huawei watch models. So it's simply more practical for displaying anything with text, numbers and data during activities or in any other part of the interface. Its only weakness really is the spacing between lines on notifications, where the formatting could be tightened up a bit. Still, it's impressively bright and vibrant, so if you're out in daylight on a run you can read the data on your screen really easily. And for those who want some specs, it can reach up to 3000 nits peak brightness, which is Apple Watch Ultra levels of brightness, on a rectangular 1.92-inch display with an impressive 480 by 408 resolution. That's a screen size bump up from the 1.82-inch of the Watch Fit 4 Pro, and without increasing the size of the watch case. So you're getting a bigger display but now with skinnier bezels. This display also happens to have an LTPO panel, and so if you have the always on display enabled, it'll drop as low as 1 Hz for maximum efficiency while still displaying the time. And it's protected by sapphire glass, giving it the kind of durability and scratch resistance of Apple's most expensive models. And on that note, the aluminium chassis carries a 5 atmosphere waterproof rating, as well as the standard certification required to make it suitable for free diving down to 40 meters. Again, something you'd need to spend quite a lot more money on if you wanted that feature from a mainstream brand. It can't be overstated how rare it is to find this level of protection in a watch that costs just £250. Other refinements include a new breathable fabric band, which I didn't get in my review kit, but did use on the Watch GT Runner 2. And I definitely prefer that to the fluoroelastomer band in this black variant. But if you do order the orange, you will get that. And it makes it even better suited for wearing all day and for exercising in warmer seasons. Personally, I find the non-breathable straps irritating. Quite literally, and so often need to take breaks from wearing it, usually at night, and clean it often to stop my skin from getting itchy. I do like Huawei's recent move towards a proprietary strap attachment system though. Although it means that finding cheap third-party straps is a little harder, it makes the fit between the watch and the arm better and more seamless. And also means that replacing the strap is less fiddly. Now, I mentioned in the intro that if you want a great fitness and health tracking watch, you should get this over the Apple Watch Series 11. And there's one very big reason for that apart from the price, and that's accuracy. I've been using the Apple Watch off and on since it came out, and mostly wear it because I'm an Apple Music subscriber and I use Nike Run Club for my running plans. And it makes it super convenient and easy to go out without my phone and to listen to music and train without it. But it has one major weakness compared to most other watches, including this Huawei one, and that's the GPS accuracy. When you're out on runs, hiking or doing cycling, getting accurate GPS is vital, especially if you want a reliable route tracked and calculations for metrics like pace and distance to be on point. I've run a lot of the same routes over the past few years with a number of different watches, and the Apple Watch consistently overestimates the distance, which looks better for my pace stats but is actually incorrect. Usually it's about 10 to 20 meters off every 1 kilometer. So by the end of a 5-kilometer run, it could be anywhere from 50 to 100 meters ahead and can be inconsistent even with that. The Huawei Watch Fit 5 Pro, thanks to its dual-band GPS and its antenna design, means it's a lot more consistent and more reliable. Comparing distances and looking at the routes tracked over maps, the Huawei Watch gets closer to the accuracy and the distances that I've tracked on more expensive Garmin models than what the bog standard Apple Watch has ever managed, to the point where I would happily use it as my main running watch and know that the data is about as correct as it could be. You also get richer insight into your running form and performance. It has the Running Ability Index to show how your running performance compares to the average, giving you something to aim at to improve, and gives you a wealth of data to dive into after your running activity is complete. You'll be able to see your running power, running symmetry, ground contact time and vertical oscillation, aka bounce height, as well as all the mainstay information like pace, cadence, altitude and heart rate zones. It's the type of data you'd get on a much more expensive Garmin watch, and in a watch that only costs £250, it's pretty incredible really. The heart rate sensor on the underside is similarly accurate. It's really responsive and can cope with intense activities, and the average heart rate and the high heart rate are about what I would expect to find on any activity, usually about a beat or two per minute different to any of my higher end fitness watches. And it's not all about runners either. There's now richer tracking for cycling, swimming and golfing too. For instance, cyclists can now get virtual cycling power estimates and functional threshold power. And you get free offline maps, which again, super useful for anyone who does outdoor activity and wants to see where they are and maybe find their way back to the starting point if they get lost. Add that to the other advanced tracking abilities like the ECG sensor for detecting atrial fibrillation, or the arterial stiffness measurement, SpO2 tracking and temperature sensor, and you have a very good all-round health tracker whether or not you're an outdoor sports enthusiast. What Huawei gets really right as well is that you don't necessarily have to go diving into the data-rich Huawei Health app on your phone to get this data. It's all easily accessible on the watch itself, which is actually a blessing because I'm not a big fan of the Huawei Health mobile app. When it comes to breaking down your activities and performance, I have no complaints. The session's detail showing the heart rate, effort charts and maps is first class. I also like the detailed breakdown of sleep, heart rate and all-round metrics for all-day tracking. It's more in the overall presentation and the layout that I have an issue. Oftentimes I'll open the app and I'll get a pop-up ad for one of Huawei's other products or services, just getting in the way. And then when you dive into something like sleep tracking, it can get a bit cluttered because it's trying to offer so many services and options in one interface, like listening to one of the multitude of tracks to help you sleep, which you need to be a VIP subscriber to take advantage of all the time. Sleep tracking itself is about as good as you can get from a wrist-worn wearable, but it's still a little way off the accuracy and reliability of the Oura Ring. If you're sleeping well, it'll give you an accurate representation of your time fallen asleep and time awake. But what it doesn't do as well as the Oura is detect when you've had an interrupted night. I had a few nights where I struggled to get to sleep and woke up a few times in the night because I was under the weather. And the Oura still offers a more accurate view of those interruptions, and so will offer a more reliable presentation of my recovery and readiness level than the Huawei Watch would. Which brings me on to my other complaint about Huawei Health. For all its strengths in terms of the richness of data and analysis, it's still lacking in presentation of recovery and readiness. For anyone who's training or trying to get fit, it's so useful having a wearable platform that prioritizes your training readiness and recovery, because then you know when to push and when not to push and when you should take a day off. So while it can give you advice on recovery after you've done an activity and shows how long you should recover for after your last session, it doesn't make that information easy to find and certainly doesn't put it front and center like Garmin, Fitbit, Whoop and Oura do. So still somewhere they need to improve on. And one area Huawei watches typically lack compared to more traditional smartwatch manufacturers like Apple, Google and Samsung, and in some ways Garmin, is in the more lifestyle-focused smart features. Things like being able to reply to messages isn't a given. You can do it if you pair with an Android phone, you can't if you're using an iPhone. You also don't get integration with popular music streaming services like Spotify, YouTube Music, Amazon or Apple Music like you do with the others. So if you want music, you either need to take your phone with you or manually sideload music files that you own to the watch itself. Still, things are improving. You'll at least get contactless payments in the UK now thanks to a partnership with Curve. And you do get notifications and calendar events through to your wrist, although again, with iPhone you can't really customize which notifications you get like you can with an Apple Watch. You get all of them or none of them. But if you use an Android phone, you do get those options. Clearly then, still some way to go before this is a no-compromise smartwatch. Now, battery life as always is one of Huawei Watch's biggest strengths. It has been since the first non-Google Huawei Watch model was launched years ago. And so that the bigger, brighter screen doesn't make the battery performance worse than the previous model, Huawei built in a battery with higher levels of silicon. That means the company still promises up to 10 days of battery life with light use, and that's without every health tracking feature enabled all the time. It's more like 7 days if you have things like the sleep tracking, HRV, SpO2 and temperature sensing disabled for 24/7 tracking, although you can still track those manually if you want extra battery life. If you have the always on display enabled, it's more like 4 days. But regardless of your preferred setting, you're getting at least twice as much battery as an Apple Watch, maybe even 5 times as much. And for Huawei, that type of battery performance is pretty standard. It's in the GPS tracking that you'll notice more improvement. Huawei says the Fit 5 Pro can continuously track a GPS activity like running for up to 25 hours before the battery dies. In our testing, it drained about 5% in an hour, suggesting it's closer to about 20 hours. Despite being short of the promise, it's still very solid. And it charges pretty quickly too when it's empty, using the proprietary wireless magnetic charger. It can do a full charge in about an hour. For me, when it comes to accurate, in-depth fitness and health tracking, there aren't many or maybe even any that come close to the Watch Fit 5 Pro in terms of value for money. It offers capabilities and reliability that you'd need to spend nearly double on if you were buying an Apple Watch, and actually even more, because you'd need the Apple Watch Ultra models to get all of these features, and they're about 3 times the price. Even if you wanted a Garmin with the same levels of GPS accuracy, you're looking at least double the price. So whether you're an iPhone or Android user, if fitness and activity tracking is your #1 concern when buying a smartwatch, and you don't have a massive budget to spend, the Watch Fit 5 Pro is a bit of a no-brainer. Sure, you miss out on some of the conveniences and smart features that you'd get if you used an Apple Watch with your iPhone, or a Pixel or Galaxy Watch with your Android phone. But you gain so much in terms of performance, and you only need to charge it once a week. So let me know what you think. Will you be grabbing the Huawei Watch Fit 5 Pro? Would you get it over an Apple Watch? Let me know in the comments, or you can get me on social media. I'm at Cam Bunton on Threads. If you did like this video, please do leave a thumbs up, subscribe and tap that notification bell, and I'll see you again in the next one. Thanks so much for watching. Bye bye.